Welcome back to the show. Up now is my interview with Charles Allen, CEO of the Bitcoin Shop and Blockchain Technology Consumer Solutions, better known just as BTCS. Now, Bitcoin has been through a wild ride recently, so I first asked Charles how his business has been affected by Bitcoin's volatility. Here's what he had to say.
What people really need to do is take a step back and understand what Bitcoin is as a technology. And it's really the blockchain technology is probably one of the most disruptive technologies in the last 500 years. And when you start thinking about, there's a lot of naysayers that would call people that believe in this quacks. And if you go back to 1880, right, 135 years ago, we were literally living in the dark, meaning at night you were on gas lights. And Thomas Edison, figured out how to invent the phonograph. And then a couple years later, he commercialized the light bulb. He didn't invent it, but he commercialized it. And everyone called him a quack. You'll never get it done. It's impossible. It can't be done. Well, J.P. Morgan backed him and had a little, facility, electric lighting facility in his house. And it took a very long time for adoption. But we don't live in the dark. He then went on and, married video with, I think it was Kodak, with his sound, so you could make movies. You fast forward a little bit, and that's only 130, that's 2 lifetimes. That's not very long. No. And nothing in finance has changed. It was still the stock market. You got pushed out of GE when you didn't go to AC. You look at Bill Gates, 1995, this guy's crazy. You watch him on the David Letterman show, and you hear him kind of explain what the internet is. And he's like, well, you can listen to a baseball game on TV, and Dave Letterman says, well, have you ever heard of the radio? And he goes, yeah, but you can record it. And it's like, okay, you ever heard of a tape recorder? And it's like you just didn't see the vision. So when I look at Bitcoin and the blockchain, it really has the ability to change the financial kind of piping, but it's not going to happen overnight. It was a bubble. It was the internet in '95. Everyone got hyped, not thinking about what needs to be built to put it in place, and it's going to take a long time.
I want to talk about the fact that your company is public. You mentioned that before. I understand that you guys went public relatively recently for a new company, if you will. But why did you decide to go public, and why is this a good thing for your company?
I looked at this and I said, wait, if I can have the only public company at the beginning of the internet, it is the perfect vehicle to, one, do investments in other companies. 6 weeks after going public, we invested in GoCoin. I think a couple months after that, we invested in ExpressCoin. It's a way to buy and sell Bitcoins. We invested in Gem. It's a multi-signature wallet company. We've actually integrated with Gem. We've now built our own multi-signature wallet on their technology. We invested in Coin Outlet. It's a Bitcoin ATM. They just launched an ATM at Overstock.com's headquarters. We're the lead investor in that company. And the goal is to integrate with all these companies to build a much bigger platform. With the capital we raised, we couldn't have done that on our own. I mean, Coinbase has raised now $100 million. Right. But we're still the only, if you're interested in the Bitcoin space, we're an investor in 4 other companies. So if you think, hey, I'm interested in Bitcoin or the blockchain, go do venture capital, go buy Bitcoin, or you can buy my stock. That's
good sell. Good sell.
Those are your options. But now that won't hold. There's tons of companies that want to go public.
Right.
I just, I was looking, for me personally, I was looking for, a new job, and I wanted something in technology that involved public companies that was kind of cutting edge and was local. So, the fact I kind of got
check.
Yeah, it's like great. So it's been a, really, amazing experience.
Great. Now I want to talk to you about regulation. Regulation. Does it hurt or help adoption of Bitcoin?
It does both, and I think it'll depend on what it looks like. I would love to see, regulation come out at the federal level so that you don't have to run around state by state. So it's easy to comply. I think that'll drive the most innovation, just set the bar high. I doubt that'll happen. It's kind of more of a dream. But if you don't have regulation, you run the risk of things like Mt. Gox happening. At the end of the day, if we want mass adoption, people need to be able to trust. And you need to be able to go to a grandmother or someone and have them feel secure that someone is keeping a watchful eye. Because people will take advantage of the system. And the question is, what's the right amount of regulation that allows for innovation and development but does not crush it? And I think that'll be an interesting balance. And the other challenge is this is a global phenomenon. It's, I think it's kind of like if you know kind of BitTorrent, right? Or if you remember Napster, right? That went out of business because it was a centralized server. Someone was serving up illegal files. And then it moved to BitTorrent. Well, you can't really get rid of it. What happened was Apple came out and said, what? People just want their music a different way. They don't want to buy a disc with all 15 songs for an album. They want to buy one song, right? I want that one song. Let me just buy it for $1. So Apple came out with iTunes. Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
A lot less people use all of those services because the music is delivered to them the way they want. So I think, if the companies that are out there provide the service in the right way and they comply with regulation, it'll work. But on a global scale, we'll have to see how it kind of plays out because every country has their own, rules and regulations. So, that's one of the things that'll go back to that it'll take time kind of, question.
It does take time. Now, I want to ask you about the Winklevoss twins. They're early adopters of Bitcoin. They own quite a bit of it, and they're in the final stages of regulatory approval for a Bitcoin ETF. What do you think of this, and will this help your business?
I can't wait till they get it done. It's been tremendously helpful having them go through the registration process. We're a public company. We have risk factors, thinking about what should they be, what should they look like. So it's been a benefit to us. I think it'll also it'll open the markets up to two things. One, it'll allow access for people that have trouble getting Bitcoin, because it is hard to buy Bitcoin. There are only a few companies that offer, and it will give some people some exposure. It'll also take some volatility out of the market. I mean, from my perspective, it's great. It's the best hedging mechanism. I'm desperately looking for a good way to hedge Bitcoins, and it doesn't exist, because once you start to go down the rabbit hole with companies that are in this business, you quickly realize that the counterparty risk is too great, and that you can't trust the other side of it. You can't trust those companies. Whereas an ETF, if it's on the NASDAQ, they'll have puts and calls. Right, I just create a brokerage account and I can buy puts and calls, put a collar around it, and I can start doing complex, financial transactions. I mean, it's a bit of a derivative on a derivative, but
but that's part of the market, yeah.
But it's better than nothing.
That was Charles Allen, CEO of BTCS and the Bitcoin Shop.